The next speaker is Eric Barnes. Now, Eric is a founding member of what is a kind of local prototype party for the kind of mass national party that we're talking about. That is the thriving local party in Scarborough called the Social Justice Party. Eric, over to you.
Thanks, Chair. Good evening, everyone. First of all, I'd like to thank the Campaign for a Mass Workers' Party for inviting me to speak at tonight's meeting. As the Chair just explained, I'm currently the elected chairperson for the Social Justice Party, or SJP. We are new, and we're a small democratic socialist party that had our founding conference in September 23. Almost all of the people that came together in our area, Scarborough, Whitby, Wrecker and Cleveland, would all been members of the Labour Party, most
Hello.
for decades. And for decades as well, we've been involved in community-based campaigns and day-to-day trade union activity. Like most of you, or indeed like everyone in this meeting, we've realised that the Labour Party is no longer a political party that's going to introduce the changes that we desperately need. Now, I'm not here to try and recruit people to the SJP. We created the SJP to help us get organised locally in the absence of an alternative as we saw it. But we also had the hope right from the beginning that all the other groups and individuals across the UK with a similar outlook to us would eventually come together with a unity of purpose to create that new democratic socialist party that is now so urgently required. Now, the time we're living in now reminds me of what happened in the late 1800s when socialists were trying to create a new political party that would serve the interests of ordinary people. And one of the obstacles that those early pioneers of socialism had to overcome was actually convincing people that at the end of the day back then, the Liberals were not that different to the Tories. That was a time when a lot of trade unionists supported the Liberals. And there was the argument to put forward a new party. Back then, for example, when members of the Independent Labour Party, the ILP, contested the Barnsley by-election in 1897, they came into sharp conflict with the Liberal Party and the Yorkshire Miners Association, who back then their president was a Liberal MP. So angry were the mine workers in one pit village that they welcomed Keir Hardie and the ILP candidate with a hail of stones. Now, I think due to the actions of Mr. Starmer and his government, our job of convincing people that the Labour Party no longer have the answers will not be as difficult. Thousands, possibly millions of people have now seen Starmer's government for the Tory-like sham that it is. People are realising that the Labour Party is not going to create a society that puts their needs before profit and protects our environment. And as has already been mentioned, we're now facing the growing danger that a lot of ordinary people are giving the votes to the billionaire-backed Reform Party. So we desperately need a party that will offer a socialist alternative to reform scapegoating and racism. Now, as we all know, we'll be facing some very well-funded opponents and a very hostile media. And there's a lot for us to consider. And as I mentioned earlier, I hope you agree that it's important we try and learn from the past. So the questions are, this new party is going to happen. And what do we want our new party to look like? How do we want our new party to operate? What do we want our new party to achieve? So going back, at the birth in 1900 of the Labour Representation Committee that eventually became the Labour Party, it was a compromise from the start. There were calls for that new organisation to be committed to socialism from the beginning. But unfortunately, those calls were rejected in favour of an emphasis on getting a distinct Labour group in Parliament. So do we want our new party to be committed to socialism from the outset? Do we need some founding principles? Audrey's just mentioned some. Or there's the 12 that were put forward by the Femeni Network, which, for example, included a call for public ownership of all public services, infrastructure, including utilities and transport. How should we decide policy in the new party? And how will we resolve our differences and find common ground? Would we want a party that was just focused on winning elections? Or would we acknowledge the importance of supporting trade unions and other campaigners when they take action and urge our members to stand on the picket lines with fellow trade unionists? Would we want a new party to operate on a traditional branch basis? How would we select, or how will we select, the people that want to stand as councillors and our MPs on behalf of the party? Would we want mandatory reselection of all of our MPs and other elected officials? Would we allow our MPs to receive private sponsorship? Would we want our MPs to keep all of the £94,000 salary that they're on? Or would a condition be, if they want to stand on behalf of our party, that they're committed to giving a percentage of that wage back to the party? Will it be acceptable for our MPs to go on the telly and criticise party policy after it was agreed at conference and constantly make statements that underline our elected party leadership? Or would we want a party that facilitated full democratic internal debate and then agreed that during an election period, for example, we'd all stick together and we'd all sing from the same song sheet? Will we want an all-member conference with one member, one vote? Or would we aim for a voting system where a person can cast a vote on behalf of a larger group of people? Would we want representatives from trade unions or other large groups to have a block vote? Or would people that are members of affiliated unions, etc., be expected to join the party and vote and participate like everyone else? How will we use modern technology? Would we ever do an online poll about an issue without a full discussion first? Would we want a national coordinating committee and we give them defined responsibilities? How big will such a committee be? What formula will we use to determine how many delegates can sit on this group? And how do we elect them? How, as a party, are we going to engage with our communities? How will we make sure everyone feels welcome and equally valued at our meetings and events? How will we run and organise meetings to keep them democratic, lively, engaging, interesting? And I'm going to finish with a quote from Tony Benn. Tony Benn would ask, what power have you got? Where did you get it from? In whose interests do you exercise it? To whom are you accountable? And how do we get rid of you? I think these are important questions that we also need to consider when we build our new party. Thank you, everyone.
Yeah, thank you very much, Eric. Not only making general points that we all very much and very passionately agree with, but also raising vital questions that we need to discuss. We need not only to talk about the need for a new party, but how such a new party would operate.